The race for the Republican presidential nomination goes on and on. Despite Mitt Romney's huge lead, bolstered this week by another big-hitting endorsement, that of Florida Senator Marco Rubio, the other three candidates show little sign of pulling out. But why? What's going on in the other campaigns? Presidential historian Doug Wead is strategic advisor to one of them, to Ron Paul. And he joins me now, direct from a meeting in Ron Paul's office. Doug, welcome back. It's good to have you with us again.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Bless you. The choice of the majority seems to be pretty clear. The Republicans do seem to be plumping for Mitt Romney, and some of them are saying, why don't the other three candidates withdraw? Tell us why they won't.
Well, because the numbers are off. The numbers that you read in the New York Times or the Associated Press are way off.
How off?
We can't run a campaign to fulfill. Well, they underreport what Santorum is getting, they underreport what we in the Ron Paul campaign are getting, and they overreport the number of delegates that Mitt Romney is getting. I can give you a clear example of that in Iowa, and I'm giving you this example because it's on the public record. I don't want to give away too much. But in Iowa, they just elected a new state chairman, and he was the Ron Paul co-chairman for Iowa, for Ron Paul for president. They threw out the Mitt Romney chairman. Now, according to the New York Times and the Associated Press, Ron Paul's going to get one of the delegates from Iowa to the Republican National Convention. Romney's going to get 14. Santorum's going to get 12. Well, if we're only going to get one, how did we throw out his chairman and elect our own? That's the body, the same body that will select the delegation that goes to Tampa. And I could give you state after state, Colorado, North Dakota, Alaska, Nevada, where the same thing is going on. So the media is assuming that these beauty contests are defining the delegation that goes to the Republican National Convention. It's not true.
So what in fact do you think the lead that Mitt Romney really has is?
Well, the short answer is we don't know perfectly because deals are being made in these conventions. In another month, we're going to hear what those deals are. And when I say deals, let me give you an example. I'll give you a mythical state that is meeting, and the Ron Paul coalition may have a third of the delegates, the Santorum people another third, and the Romney people another third. And it's who cuts the deal. If the Romney people can go to the Santorum people and say, we'll let you split the delegation with us, we'll lose out. But if we succeed in going to the Santorum people, Romney would lose out. So a lot of it remains up in the air, but this is not a done deal. It tends to look like it's a done deal because the national media at this point usually will stampede the other candidates and say, get out, get out. But the math is not there for Mitt Romney yet. There's no reason for us to get out.
So that's the point about the figures and so on. So you think that none of the three candidates that we've been talking about, nobody will withdraw before the last days, do you think?
I don't think they will. For example, Newt Gingrich, he's the fourth candidate that we didn't talk about. We don't want him out. Santorum doesn't want him out. Ron Paul doesn't want him out because if he leaves, there's the possibility that some of his delegates will move to Romney, and we will admit that Romney's in the lead. So every delegate he picks up makes a difference. So we want Newt Gingrich to stay right in there and hold the base of those few delegates that he has. A brokered convention is still unlikely in modern history. Things happen too fast. There are brokered campaigns. You don't have to have brokered conventions. But mathematically, it is still very possible. And if it happens, it will be a show, I'll tell you.
What would you say the tactics of the various candidates will be? And we haven't mentioned Newt Gingrich yet either, because obviously he's another one to consider. And you want them all. The clear thing you've said is you want them all to stay in. It increases your chances.
Yes, it increases the chances of a brokered convention. And the brokered convention, as I said, is unlikely, but mathematically it's possible.
And what about the white knight strategy? People dreaming of a white knight who's going to come riding in on his charger and so on. It's not going to be Jeb Bush now because he says he's going with Mitt Romney and so on. But is it possible that there's a white knight out there somewhere who could charge in at this stage?
It's possible, and in American history in previous years, that was often the solution when you had a brokered convention. But it's very, very unlikely today. In this day and age, when a candidate is vetted, when enough people have committed their money and resources to the four that are in, it's more likely that one of these four will be the candidates. And Rick Santorum, you can't rule him out. He has touched a nerve here. Even the Obama people are responding to it, and that relates to church and state, because the walls become porous. And for example, in the little city of Canyonville, Oregon, the local city, because it's not getting tax money from the nonprofits, it's doubling the water bill in Canyonville. So there are these surcharges, there are these ways that the state, that the government is trying to get money from the nonprofits. So Santorum has touched something here that the Obama administration itself is sensitive to, and Romney can't really get into this issue much because of the controversy about his faith. So it's interesting dynamics are playing out right now.
Right. And Time magazine here has floated the idea that Ron Paul might withdraw if Mitt Romney chooses Mr. Paul's son, Rand, for vice president. Have you heard about that?
I wouldn't hold my breath that that's going to happen. But yes, I've heard that rumor. Ron Paul's a very principled person. He's been in Washington for 22 years. He hasn't taken bribes. The lobbyists can't get to him. Women haven't been able to get to him. He's been untouchable. He's been pure. Won't go on a junket because he thinks it's a taxpayer-paid trip. Won't participate in the congressional pension plan. That's his appeal. He's this eccentric, Gandhi-like figure that you can't touch with the normal bribes that people respond to. So I don't think that anything Mitt Romney offers him will move him. He will move to Romney if he feels it's in the best interest of the country and his own cause.
You always look cheerful whenever we talk, Doug, but maybe it's a sign here of what Ron Paul's up to that you look even more cheerful now than you did a few weeks ago. Thank you very much for being with us.
Could be.
Thanks
Thank you
a lot.
very much, David.
On March the 11th, U.S.